winter tires. That was it. Oh no. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Sunday Drive. Today, we are going to talk about driving front-wheel drive in the snow, the slush, the crappy conditions. Unfortunately, like an hour ago, the roads were much better suited for this, but I guess the snowplowers got to it while I was in class, unfortunately. But today, I want to talk about why front-wheel drive is best wheel drive in the snow. Well, if we don't account for all-wheel drive, so really just talking about rear-wheel drive. So I daily drove my E36 M3 for 2 years in the snow. So I made a video a couple years ago, kind of similar to this, talking about rear-wheel drive in the snow. And in that video, my perspective on front-wheel drive, my experience was coming from a Honda Civic Si, EV3 generation, 2002. And that car was awful in the snow, terrible, just helpless, understeer everywhere, couldn't help itself, couldn't ever get grip. The tires they're kind of cheaper all seasons, but like they had fine enough tread, similar to what's on this Camry now. So I was coming from that to this, and I thought that rear-wheel drive was just so much better. And the reason I stated why I thought was better was because it had a wider tire, more tread, right, more grip in the snow. That's what you would think. Well, I was wrong, sort of. So my EV3 was just bad in the snow because it was a light car. So that's for starters. Now that I've driven a winter in this thing, my perspective has shifted a lot on front-wheel drive in the snow. So the problem with rear-wheel drive in the snow that I found was you had to think about it. Now, if you're an enthusiast, like probably all of you watching, that's not a bad thing. You want to think about driving that car. That's like part of the fun, right? But there were a lot of times driving my M3 when it was not really enjoyable to snow and kind of sketchy. You know, I was kind of like slowly pulling the wheel back and forth to get the car to kind of stay straight and not veer off in the other lane, you know, trying to follow people's tracks, that sort of thing, which is the case with every car to an extent without winter tires, and is really something you should be doing anyway. It was especially bad in the M3. So let's talk about front wheel drive now. I have driven this Camry for this past winter, and I have been thoroughly surprised, I guess impressed in a good way, with how it's handled the snow. The best way I think to describe this Camry is it is the point-click adventure. You point the steering wheel, you hit the gas pedal, and the car just pulls itself straight. Doesn't matter how much you're sliding out, you just point the steering wheel, click the gas pedal, it goes in that direction. It's amazing, and that's what my EP3 was missing. Now, the reason I think that this Camry is able to do that is because it's a bigger car. There's more weight over the front wheels. The EP3 Civic is like, it's a tiny little thing. I don't think it's actually that much lighter than this car. I'm not sure, I wanna say they weigh like 26 or 700 pounds. This Camry weighs like just over 3,000 with the automatic transmission. But just that enough extra weight is enough to kind of make it okay. This car is also much taller. It has a lot of suspension travel, and generally it's just kind of like a really like wallowy car. But I think that kind of bigger track width helps it grip up in the snow. I think the greatest benefit that this Camry has had over my M3 in all aspects, but especially in snow driving, is I don't really have to think about it. Now in the snow when it's really bad, I do have to think about it. I did some door dashing one night, and they were paying like $32 an hour. It was insane. But I was doing some door dashing and it was bad out. They sent me out to like DeWitt, Michigan, which if you don't know where that is, it's like kind of in the middle of nowhere. Lots of back like country roads that were not plowed in the slightest. Half the time I couldn't even tell if I was on dirt or pavement. And I did have to be pretty cognizant then, and I was a little worried about getting stuck. But even when I got on some pretty steep inclines, the car just kept trucking along, and I can almost certainly say in my M3 that if I didn't get stuck, I would have bare minimum had moderate trouble getting up some of those hills and generally just staying straight. Whereas this car took it no problem. Side note, some of these potholes are absolutely terrible. so glad the suspension on this car is just like soft and plushy for these Michigan roads. This is atrocious. A good example of front wheel drive also being good as far as like fun is look at rallying. People rally front wheel drive cars. It's a lot different than rear wheel drives. In rear wheel drive, you have to worry about a lot of oversteer. You're constantly making corrective action. Front wheel drive, you're more so fighting understeer because you know you're going to understeer, but it's predictable. You know when the car is going to understeer, so you're just setting up your line in a way so that you can just power through it. You just hit the gas and the wheels just pull you forward. Whereas in rear wheel drive, any sort of slippery condition, such as rally or any sort of snow driving, it's not very predictable. And when it does start to slide out, you're constantly making corrective action, and it's not as simple as just let me give it more power. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it won't. You have to know when to get on, when to get off the throttle. Front wheel drive, it's always on the throttle. You always get on the throttle. And it's more so the consistency of it. You have less options in a front wheel drive car, but the options that you do have are more likely to work and help you out in a situation. Unless, of course, you're really just bombing it, in which case you're probably not going to be saved in either scenario. Our enemy, the salt truck. We don't like you. Go away. So I just want to talk about tires a little bit. Another reason I think that this Camry is good in the snow is because the tires aren't super wide. Earlier I referenced the M3 having really wide tires, and initially me thinking that would help, but it actually doesn't. The problem with wide tires is wide tires don't really cut through the snow like skinny tires do. Especially when you have something low profile, you don't have a lot of give or a lot of squish in the tire. The tire is going to have a tendency to just spin. Even if you have a wide tread width, it's not going to matter. Whereas when you have something skinny, it's going to cut through the snow, embed itself into the snow, and create a path for yourself. And it's going to allow you to grip up better. As far as tire compounds go, really everybody should put winter tires in their car. Now, I've never bought winter tires because winter tires are really expensive and I don't have the budget for that. But everybody should. I drove a Tercel once in the winter, and this is like a tiny little thing. Honestly, probably would be worse than the EP3 in the snow. But it was great. And all I had, winter tires. That was it. Oh no. Ooh. Oh, that's cool. This is why you ceramic coat your cars, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that looks so cool. I only have to use the wipers. But yeah, the Tercel was phenomenal in the snow. And I was like blown away by how good it was. Point the steering wheel, hit the gas pedal, just went wherever you wanted to go. No slippage at all, or any slippage was really controllable. So I do think snow tires are the definitive option. But if you are broke like me and you don't have money for winter tires, what are some good tires you can buy? Well, generally I'd say get something that's of the all-season nature. On my M3, I had the Continental DWS 06 Pluses. That tire is phenomenal. It made that car bearable in the winter, and they're even better in the rain when there isn't just slush on the road. But generally a good all-season, and even like this Camry, I think we're on like some, I don't even know the name of the all-season. It's something I've never heard of. And it's totally fine. Now that's partly the nature of this car, and I think really why people tend to like Camrys and why I've grown to like this car is they're kind of just like the everything car. They kind of just do everything okay no matter what you do to it. Like they take the views. You put cheap tires on it, doesn't matter. Car will still be fine. It's got a lot of body roll. But more important than whatever drive setup you have, I really think is the tire you put on your car. If you put a crappy tire in your car, it's not going to grip. That is the thing that controls the contact with your car to the road. You keep out on your tires, you're going to have problems. But as far as front wheel drive goes, front wheel drive is just great in the snow. A little bit of slippage there. Bike Lake Adventure. This isn't really the slipperiest of conditions, but we're going to go navigate now to some slipperier roads and kind of show off what I'm talking about in this video. There we go. Now we got some slippage. Just kept the steering wheel, held it with a tight grip, Kept it straight, didn't matter. Oh, it's great. Could almost guarantee in my BMW I would have went a little bit sideways at some point and would have probably been a little bit sketchy. Not that I encourage any of you drive like that, but in a front-wheel drive car, if you're paying less attention than you're probably supposed to be, there's a higher likelihood that you're not going to end up in a road or in a ditch off the road. It's great. Oh, Subaru behind us. Want to know the best car in the snow? There you go, right there behind us. Subaru WRX. I don't think anything is better than those in the snow, at least that I've seen. Maybe an Evo is comparable, but they're all blown up. You don't ever really see them around. So there you have it, everybody. That is my take on front-wheel drive and the snow, the slush, crappy conditions, poor grip, whatever you wanna call it. I hope you all enjoyed my little rant today. I thought this was probably the last day we were gonna get this year where I could even remotely talk about it. I was gonna kind of just not make this video, but here you are. Oh my God, that's like the third time in this drive we got blasted by one of those trucks. So take care, everybody. And make sure to like and subscribe. And then now take care. And we'll see you in the next one. Bebop. Bebop. Oh, you like slipped there.